Hello, and welcome to Wildcat Gameday Preview. I'm Tomas Moran, joined here by Pierson Strandquist. Week 7 of the football season is already upon us. On Friday night, the Cats will be looking to get their first conference win of the year against the 3-2 Maryland Terrapins as they continue Big Ten play. Northwestern, currently 2-3 and coming off a 41-24 home loss against 23-ranked Indiana, hopes to right the ship on their visit to College Park. Pierson, what are the keys to the game?
Hey Tomas, it's a pleasure to be here. Tomorrow night is a big one for Northwestern and a must-win for both teams if either wants any chance of making a bowl game this year. As the Wildcats seek that elusive first conference win, a few factors will be crucial. First, Northwestern's secondary has to step up. It's been a glaring problem for the last two games, now allowing 380 passing yards against Indiana last week. Hoosier quarterback Curtis Rourke easily had his way with Northwestern in that one, and Cats head coach David Braun harshly stated that it's simply got to get better. Maryland is led by what is arguably the most potent offensive pairing in the Big Ten, so we know that quarterback Billy Edwards and his top receiver Ty Felton will not show any mercy. Limiting Felton's impact will be a necessity as all the momentum runs through the projected first-round pick. Northwestern's secondary will need to be disciplined in coverage and avoid giving up big plays. On the other side, Northwestern's offense needs to establish the run early. Getting the gears turning on multiple levels will be important to allow quarterback Jack Lausch to ease into the game and stay comfortable. The Wildcats have not been able to establish a successful run game, ranking 15th in the Big Ten in total carries and rush yards per game. The Cats rushers combined for only 93 rushing yards on Saturday, and that's simply not enough for a team that needs to control possession. Ideally, Joseph Hyman II can start to translate his elite returning stats into rushing success, and offensive captain Cam Porter can get back to rushing form that earned him his #1 jersey. Maryland's defense has had some trouble containing the ground game this season, and it's the perfect opportunity to get the run game going. Doing so will help control the tempo and open up opportunities for Lujan to incorporate some big plays to get the Cats receiving duo AJ Henning and Bryce Kurtz into the game.
Northwestern's 17-point loss against the Hoosiers last week, despite the result, featured some promising signs of life from the offense. Notably, quarterback Jack Lausch demonstrated major improvements from the disastrous Washington game, where he threw for 53 yards and 2 interceptions in a 24-5 loss. Meanwhile, Maryland's greatest strength so far has been their own field marshal, Billy Edwards Jr. Pierson, what are your thoughts on the QB matchup?
Yeah, for sure. This is one of the most intriguing QB matchups in the Big Ten right now. You have two teams that are pretty balanced talent-wise, demonstrated by each team's big losses to Indiana in the past 2 weeks. This means that the signal callers will definitively make or break either team's success. Maryland's Billy Edwards Jr. has consistently been ranked in the top end of all college football quarterbacks, leading the Big Ten in completions, attempts, and passing yards, while doing a solid job filling the big shoes left by Talia Tagovailoa. Edwards ranks in the top 15 nationally in completion percentage and passing yards per game. He has completed 128 of 177 passes for 1,444 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions, and has rushed for 2 scores of his own this season. When he is in a groove, he is one of the hardest quarterbacks to stunt the momentum of. However, Edwards might have some problems against a strong Northwestern pass rush after taking 5 cents of his own against Indiana 2 weeks ago. Look for him to heavily target receivers Ty Felton and Caden Prather. With that being said, however, both of those receivers are returning from injury, so it's unclear just how involved each will be. For Northwestern, the aforementioned first-year starter Jack Lausch leads the way in his 4th career start since he won the job over original QB1 Mike Wright. He has shown flashes of being a top-tier Big Ten quarterback, but has lacked the consistency to establish a true identity. He was 23 for 38 with 243 yards and 2 touchdown passes with 2 picks on Saturday against Indiana. With the huge improvement from his lackluster performance against Washington 3 weeks ago, he simply wasn't accurate enough, crucially underthrowing receivers in crunch time. It's important to note, however, that this was just his 3rd start as a college quarterback, and his development likely decides the future not only of Northwestern football program against Maryland this week, but also their future beyond. This is a matchup where he consistently needs to find his targets. That is what's most important. He clearly has the talent, but I'd want to see more accurate passing, especially on medium passes, and those are the ones he was missing against Indiana. Combining this with his natural athleticism and a knack for scrambling should help the Cats move the chains and expose Maryland's defensive holes. While the Terps defense leads all power conference teams with a +11 turnover margin, they allowed a season-high 42 points against Indiana. Disregarding the Washington game, Lausch plays very methodically and is not turnover-prone. He is primed for a true breakout game against a conference opponent, and Northwestern's 3-1 all-time advantage against Maryland shows that history is on his side.
Now, let's switch over to the other side of the ball. The Wildcats' defense has been the bright spot, or had been the bright spot, of their uneven opening 4 games, only giving up 15.75 points per game up until that point. However, they faced their toughest challenge yet against Indiana, which is 6th in the nation in total offense, averaging 515.7 yards per game. Giving up points 7 drives in a row, Northwestern's defensive bastion didn't hold up against ranked opposition. Pierson, how can they recover and have a bounce-back game against the Terps?
Yeah, I mean, Duke was a disaster. Washington was a blowout. Indiana's one big defensive breakdown. The Cats have lost 3 times this season in incredibly discouraging fashion, and that's impossible to ignore. But Northwestern's defense needs to take this in stride. All of the negative attention should be turned into fuel to prove doubters wrong. The Northwestern run defense has been one of the best in the nation, allowing only 93.2 ground yards per game. Northwestern's foes are averaging just 3.1 yards per carry against it. The Wildcats have also gotten to quarterbacks, posting 12 sacks on the season, headed by Anto Sake's team-leading 2.5 QB takedowns. Look for Sake and former 3-star recruit Najee Story to headline a hungry defensive line against a poor Maryland offensive front. Additionally, linebacker Xander Mueller, an all-Big Ten third-team selection last year, leads Northwestern with 36 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, and 4 pass breakups. So his contributions will be crucial in leading Northwestern if they want to limit Maryland's scoring chances.
Thank you. That'll be all for tonight. Make sure to catch Northwestern's matchup against Maryland tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central, and tune in to next week's edition of Wildcat Game Day Preview. This is Tomas Moran, here with Pierson Strandquist, signing off.